Now, apart from agriculture,
Okay.
in your view, what are the other big concerns about Africa's development in the 21st century? And if you have any solution, hey, let's hear them.
Ooh, that's a big one. Yeah, because I mean, if anybody would talk about this, they will come from different perspective.
Yes, of course.
But I will come from this perspective, and I mean every word of it. What I've observed as one of the major problems in Africa today is leadership.
Mm.
Yes, fine. We know the leadership comes from the followership, and so, but I want to say we've not had that motivated, driven, purposeful, and visionary leadership. Because it's one thing for you to sit on a gold mine, is another thing for you to mine it. Then it's another thing for you to add value.
Okay.
Now, most of the areas in Africa, agriculture, health, education, whatever, every area requires those three things. You have to sit on where the issues, the problems are. You have to be able to dig into it and find out these are the issues, these are the problems, these are the solutions. Then you must be able to mine it. In other words, bring those solutions into fore, bring them to bear to handle some of those problems, and then you have to add value.
Yeah.
You see, adding value is what refines it, is what makes it like the icing on the cake. And when you do that, every continent in the world passes through one way or the other these processes. Some continents are in the refining process, and so everybody wants to go there because they are refined. I mean, you just see, but the roots and the foundations in the 20s, in the 30s, in the 1940s, 50s, no, they're not ready to pay for that. So it is important for us to understand that you have, and believe me, Africa is sitting on resources, gold mine. So the issue of not identifying what the resources are is out of it. We know the resources. Now, the second thing is, are we mining it? Are we digging now to mine? Then are we mining as we should? Then are we adding value? So that those are where the problems are. The second problem that I see is education. I want to believe a lot of out of school of children in Africa, sub-Saharan Africa, is quite huge. Yeah. And I don't know, we've failed in addressing the important things. Learning and education has moved beyond what some of us experience. Yeah. And so adapting to the new norm, instead of being trained to read and write, are they being trained? Their mind are being trained to develop solutions to problems. Now, there are two different things. You can be trained in the class for the regular addition, subtraction, English, and in addition to that, be trained to solve problems, outside. So African education
critical thinking is
exactly. Mm-hmm. So African education generally has failed to to really work in those critical thinking and ability to translate problems, interpret problems and solve those problems. Yeah. And so that failure has created a gap. Yeah. And because youths do not have young minds, not get exposed to those kind of trainings, they either are miseducated or semi-literate or illiterate. And so it's easy for them to engage in many vices. We talked about internal conflicts the other time. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's because they do not have enough to be able to see through and think through. And so what we have is we have conflicts, and I will just let you know some of these internal conflicts that is affecting, negatively impacting development in Africa. They are being carried out by youths. Yeah. So we have issues about education not being trained. And like I said, the first one is leadership. If we have right leadership, some of these things can be identified and over time can be worked on. So another problem that we have in Africa is it's a problem, but it's also an advantage. It depending on how we harness it, is our population. Yep. I'm not an advocate of, reducing your population. No.
No.
But what I'm trying to say is that the population we have, especially the young ones, they are a blessing to us. But because we've not handled, harnessed, guide some of these things to the right place, the population is gradually becoming a global menace. It's not just Africa.
Yeah.
Because the truth is that if we keep increasing and we're not harnessing what will take care of those numbers, we become a problem to the world. And the world will keep coming, it will keep helping, assisting, these aids from here, from there. It will get a point that everybody will have to your tent, oh Israel. You have to move back. No, that was what happened in COVID-19. That was what happened in COVID-19 pandemic. So at the end of the day, it was just providence, if I may use that word, that didn't make COVID-19, get worse in Africa.
I absolutely agree with you. See, I was scared. Okay, I was scared. So I was thinking, what will happen? Because see, I understand. See, I grew up in Bariga. Okay,
Lagos.
Yeah, I know. See, I know my neighborhood, so I was scared. What might happen? And yes, if we don't develop simple processes across our communities, educate our youth to harness the opportunities presented to us by our environment. See, unfortunately, COVID-19 will happen again. Okay? And we must be ready. We really must be ready. Anyway.
So let me just add to that. Like you said, I belong to some, I did some strategic foresight training, and I belong to some foresight futures thinking community. COVID-19 came in, but it has been predicted. Of course, it wasn't predicted as COVID-19.
Yeah, of course.
It has been predicted that, the global pandemic, and like you said, many others will come up. Come. And so, but I must say this, it's not just a gloom and a terrible situation. I know for sure in Nigeria, a lot of youths are actually taking the bull by the horn.
Okay.
They are trying, especially in agriculture, they are trying to do many things, train youths, social enterprise, people of my age or less, far less, they're doing a lot. And of course, because it is an individual endeavor, an individual motivation, some of them stretch out to international communities for assistance and all that. But it's just like sprinkles, in the ocean.
Yeah.
But it's some of them it's overwhelming. I must confess to you, a good number of them are like, wow, this thing is getting bigger than we can handle.
Yeah.
And it shows the opportunities. It shows the vast resources that we can enhance here. But that's just it. So that's another problem that I would say. So for Africa, if we can handle there are many others, but leadership, education, harnessing the youths, and of course, just because you said agriculture is out of it, agriculture is another tool that can develop, Africa. So for me, those are very important issues to deal with if we are going to develop in Africa.
Yeah. Well,